to Stoke then. How is the team looking? Do you have anybody potentially back in contention returning, or any new injuries?
We got injuries to John Walters at the moment with his knee. Bojan has a little issue with his hip, so we'll have to check that out. For Basley and Mark Munier are better for having a week's training. This week they were involved last weekend, but really weren't fit enough to take part, to be perfectly honest. But this week they're certainly in my mind in terms of a good option. So apart from those I've mentioned and long-term injuries that are still unavailable, we didn't have too many issues from the weekend.
And Jeff Cameron's been having
yes.
his knee looked at again, hasn't he, over in America? Is there any update on that?
Yeah, he went over early this week, and he's been there a number of days. He's seen a number of people. It was just that we felt, and Jeff felt, that he was getting a little bit frustrated because the knee wasn't really progressing in terms of how comfortable he was with it, and he hadn't been able to get back on the grass since the injury, which is getting on for 8 to 10 weeks now. So clearly we just needed to get a different view. Jeff obviously has people over in America with the national team there that he wanted to speak to as well. So we allowed that. Communications between everybody's been good, and he's been out there a number of days now, had a couple of procedures, but really basically backed up what we were saying about the injury. But I think it was more for Jeff's peace of mind in terms of understanding exactly what was going on and reaffirming that what was happening and the treatment he was getting was the right thing for him. So hopefully now he'll settle down and he'll be back early next week with a view hopefully of joining in, because we need to get him back if we can.
And obviously you're one of the sort of most affected clubs really by players going off the African Cup of Nations. How much of an impact is that having on?
Well, we've got 3 away. I think other clubs have, I want to say more, probably same level or probably less, or some haven't got any because they've been allowed to keep them back. So I think it is what it is. When you contract players that, from African countries, then you know there's a possibility that you may lose them to their countries at this time of the year. So we can't really complain about it, but clearly it affects you to a certain extent, and your options are curbed, and you don't have as many. But I think it's just in case you make the best of it. We've got good options that have been left behind, so we'll make the best of it. But we wish them well. We hope they come back safe and well. It's going to be obviously kicking off soon, so we hope they do well, but maybe get knocked out in the early stages and they come back sooner.
And on to transfers, January transfer window. Obviously a lot has been said this week about Saido Berahino and your interest in him. Can you tell us any more? Have you made a bid for him?
I'm not sure where we are actually. I think we're probably getting to the point where there needs to be some conversations one way or the other, and I'm hopeful something might be done. It's clear we have an interest in the player, and if he's available and if his club is willing to negotiate, then I'm sure we will be one of many clubs interested in that. But as an update and in terms of my knowledge of the situation, as I sit here before you, I don't think anything really has moved forward from probably last week. So it's still waiting really for the players' club to give an indication really.
Because of the issues he's had in terms of not playing so many games, is a player like that a gamble at all?
Well, all players are gambles until you actually work with them and bring them to your club and understand them totally as players and individuals. You have to say everyone's a gamble, but I think we're looking at players that we think can improve us, not only short term but long term as well. So we're taking a longer view maybe on this one if it does happen, but we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, it's out of our hands to a certain extent. You need a lot of things to fall into place, and people have to be ready to discuss the situation initially and then see how far it progresses from that point onwards. And it's just been a little bit long-winded, and sometimes you lose a little bit of enthusiasm for these deals when they don't happen quickly enough. But the one thing I've learned during my time as a manager, you just have to be a little bit patient, and like I said, if they don't happen in January, maybe work you've done in a January window comes to fruition in the summer. So you just have to use that patience.
And in terms of players going out, have you had any bids on any of your players, any inquiries?
Not that I'm aware of. We always get a few inquiries. Some are not based on logic, to be perfectly honest. There's a few ridiculous ones that come in, and you just dismiss them very, very quickly. We've got maybe a few options for the younger players to go out on loan. We've been able to get Jakob Haugaard out on loan at Wigan, which we're pleased about. We've been waiting a couple of seasons to get him the right opportunity, so that's presented itself. Played last week and did really well, so we're hoping that's going to be a good move for him to the summer, and when he comes back he clearly will have improved, we hope, and enjoyed his experience playing league football, and that will enable him to continue to develop.
So you don't expect Berrien to be departing
not as far as I'm aware, no.
Now, one signing you have made, Peter Crouch, a new deal for him. How happy were you to tie him longer to the club? Yeah,
I thought it was important. I think Peter's a unique player in my view, and I think there would have been a lot of interest if we'd have decided not to take up the option, and why wouldn't there be? Because he's still a very, very effective player at Premier League level. He's a different problem for opposition defenders to deal with, and I wouldn't have been comfortable, obviously, if he'd have gone out of the building and 3 or 4 weeks down the line you line up against him, and you know that he would cause you problems. So it just made sense from all angles, really. Irrespective of his age, people will flag up, well, he's come towards the end of his career supposedly, and he's at 35, I think. So I think with any other player, with any other individual, I think maybe questions would say, well, why are you contracting a player of that age? But as I said, Peter is a different type of player, and his qualities and his attributes haven't really diminished for certainly the 3-4 years I've been here. So there's no reason to think that they're going to diminish anytime soon either. So we were quite happy with the situation. Peter wanted to make it happen, so that's a good bit of business from our point of view.
And is it not just what he gives on the pitch? Is it important to have players of his character and experience?
Yeah, I mean, that's the bonus for Peter as well, because he's a great guy. But that's not the reason we've signed him predominantly, because he's not just going to be a cheerleader in the dressing rooms. He's here to have an impact on the field, and the fact that he's a good guy, well liked within the dressing room and within the staff, that's just a welcome bonus.
Now, obviously, disappointing result last weekend, going out the FA Cup.
Mm-hmm.
How important is it that you sort of regroup and bounce back quickly from that?
Yeah, we were really disappointed last week. It didn't perform at all at the level that we needed to do. I picked a strong side, a side that I expected to win the game. That didn't happen. Didn't play well enough, certainly in the first half, where we were really poor. So we've talked that through. We just discussed it this week, and I've found with the group that I've got that's almost without fault when we've had poor, disappointing performances and moments, almost without fail we've bounced back very quickly. So I'm fully expecting that to happen this weekend. It's a difficult game for us. Sunderland, for whatever reason, seem to have trials and tribulations during their time in the Premier League, and they all seem to be at the wrong end. When you look at the club and the standing out of the club and the stadium they got and the fan base, you do scratch your head somewhat, thinking why did they find themselves in that predicament year on year. But they seem to be struggling once again, but we've always found it very, very difficult to go there. Our record isn't great, so we need to improve. So it's a difficult fixture, but it's one that we're looking forward to because, like I said, there was a little bit of frustration on a lot of levels after our performance in the FA Cup, so we want to address that. So Sunderland up is a good game for us.
Do you think they do have what it takes to escape relegation?
Oh yeah, they seem to have. They seem to do it every year. So yeah, and they've got a really experienced manager who's been at clubs that have been in that situation before. I seem to recall a couple of seasons at Everton that they were at the wrong end of the league for long periods, but he always turned that around and they were always having positive seasons in the end. So I think if he can navigate this season, then I think they'll grow stronger with him at the helm.
And obviously they've got Jermaine Defoe. How good a player is he? How much of a threat?
Well, I mean, he's been an outstanding goal scorer in the Premier League for a long, long time, irrespective of where the club that he's at, wherever they lie. If they're a top 6 club like they were when he was at Tottenham, or an MLS club, or a team that seems to be struggling at the wrong end of the table, he always scores goals, and credit to him. Clearly he's a guy that thrives off opportunities, and he's just not a goal scorer that relies on other people and the team around him to create chances. He can create chances himself, and that's why he's been able to score regularly right throughout his career, irrespective of who he's playing for.
Well, obviously you got the injury to John, you've had the 2 lads go off to the African Cup of Nations, Wilf and Juve. How
3, Ramadan.
Yeah, but in terms of your forward line,
Right.
That's really going to affect your choice in strikers. How are you going to be able to cope with that?
Well, there's different ways to go about it. We've got Peter Clearly. I've played Bojan up there as well in the past. Marco's played straight down the middle in other games as well. So we can do different things. We've got different options in terms of personnel and formations that we can use. So we're not too concerned at the moment, but we're a little bit thin, clearly, but we're hopeful that the options that we've got will score goals and create chances, and we'll be fine until the guys you mentioned come back.
So you're not looking to strengthen in that area then over this transfer window?
We'll see what's available. We've obviously just discussed one player that might be an option, but like I said, that's been ongoing for a long time, our interest in that player. So if that happens, it happens, but we're not banking on that to address maybe the situation we find ourselves in terms of players being away and not available through injuries. So we're still comfortable with where we sit in terms of the options we've got up front.
Obviously, just in case there's any more injuries, you said Bojan had a hip problem, and so there could you maybe look for a loan if it got to the point where...
Well, if we felt we weren't comfortable with the strength and depth that we have, then that is an option. But loans can be as difficult to get through the door as permanent deals in January. It's very difficult to get the right quality that you need, and sometimes teams at the top end will make good young players available, but sometimes you think, well, actually they've got potential, but are they the right player to come in and actually help you in the short term? So it's about getting the right players in that can help us and affect what we're trying to do in the first 11, and we've been looking for that type of player for quite some time. They're few and far between and more difficult to get over the line, but that's our intention. If they're there, then we'll try and make them happen.
We talked about Jermaine Defoe, and he has been very prolific in the Premier League. He's got an incredible amount of goals. Just in the month of January alone, he's one of the top scorers in that month. Are you going to look for maybe a player of his calibre in the summer and to improve this squad and get further up the league?
Well, yeah, we've been. Probably it's fair to say we've been looking for a guy that maybe has the potential to score 20 plus goals for a long time, but obviously they're a little bit scarce on the ground, and you have to work really hard to try and get them over the line, because obviously a player like that is going to be expensive and is going to be wanted by more clubs than just yourself. So you have to just bide your time, and if an opportunity comes and you think they're the right player that can give you that potential, then we'll be in the market for them. But a lot of other clubs will have an interest in players of that ilk, and you've just got to hope you can present a package and make them understand what your club offers for them, and hope that that's enough to get them in the door.
You just talked about your record against Sunderland. They're actually unbeaten in the last 14 home games against you, and you've only managed to score 1 goal when you've travelled there. What are you going to do this weekend to obviously break the deadlock? They've also had the most shots on target faced against them this season, so the opportunity to score goals is there this weekend. Yeah,
they've struggled defensively, but and we've got threats that will hurt them. But I think it's about making sure we're nice and solid. We were a little bit slow in terms of our defensive work and our application of our defensive work right across the board in terms of our work defending from the front and midfield areas, and it's not just the defensive back line that we're talking about, it's right across the board and the team as a whole. So I'm looking for an improvement in that. If we get that base and that solid platform to have a good performance from, then we've got good players that can hurt Sunderland, so that's what we'll look to do. Clearly they allow shots on goal, so we've got to maximise that opportunity if we can.
Okay.
Hold up.
Thanks, guys. Okay, thanks a lot.